God is turning the tide in your favor is a powerful religious phrase that expresses the belief that, even in times of hardship, God has the power to change the direction of our lives. This phrase embodies the hope and faith that, no matter how difficult our circumstances may seem, divine intervention is capable of altering our situation for the better. It is a reminder that there is always potential for transformation, and that God's timing and purpose can shift the course of events, leading us toward greater opportunities and blessings. The concept behind the phrase is rooted in the idea that God, in His wisdom and love, has the ability to turn our trials and struggles into stepping stones for growth. When we face challenges, whether they are related to our careers, relationships, or personal lives, it can feel as though everything is working against us. However, the belief that God is turning the tide in your favor offers a sense of reassurance and encouragement. It conveys the idea that, despite our pain and adversity, God is actively working behind the scenes to change our circumstances, leading us toward a brighter future. In religious contexts, this belief is often tied to the concept of divine providence, where God's will unfolds in ways that are meant to guide us and protect us, even when we cannot see it in the moment. It offers comfort, knowing that we are not alone in our struggles, and that we have a higher power supporting us. People often turn to this belief in moments of hardship, finding strength in the idea that change is possible even in the most challenging of situations. This phrase encourages individuals to have faith that God can take difficult or seemingly insurmountable situations and use them as opportunities for transformation. It suggests that, through faith, perseverance, and trust in God's plan, circumstances can shift to bring new opportunities, direction, and peace into one's life. Many individuals believe that during moments of trial, God works in ways that might not be immediately visible. Over time, the lessons learned through hardship often lead to personal growth, new wisdom, and a clearer sense of purpose. By holding on to the belief that God is in control, people can find hope in the possibility of a positive outcome, even when everything seems uncertain. The purpose of this article is to explore the underlying messages embedded in the phrase, God is turning the tide in your favor, and how it can be understood as a source of inspiration and encouragement. We will delve into the signals of change that may emerge in our lives during difficult times, and examine how we can recognize and harness God's guidance to navigate those challenges. Ultimately, this article aims to offer insight into how faith can play a transformative role in overcoming adversity and discovering the purpose and meaning behind life's trials. Faith and belief in God have long been recognized as powerful forces in shaping one's life and worldview. Throughout history, individuals and communities have found strength, guidance, and hope through their religious beliefs, particularly in moments of hardship or uncertainty. In this section, we will explore the role that faith plays in transforming our mindset and life choices, how transformations are depicted in the Bible, and the profound impact that faith can have in helping individuals navigate challenges and experience positive change. Faith in God has the power to dramatically alter the way we approach life's challenges. At its core, faith provides a foundation of hope, purpose, and direction, especially during difficult times. Believing in God allows us to perceive life's difficulties not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and transformation. When individuals have faith, they are more likely to see their struggles as part of a larger divine plan, and they trust that these challenges will ultimately lead to personal development and understanding. Faith transforms our mindset by encouraging us to embrace optimism, resilience, and patience. Instead of focusing on what we lack or the obstacles in front of us, faith helps us see that there is always a higher purpose behind the trials we face. This shift in perspective allows us to approach life with greater hope and confidence, knowing that God is with us and guiding us through each moment. Rather than feeling overwhelmed by adversity, individuals who hold strong faith are more likely to stay grounded, find peace, and trust in God's timing and wisdom. Faith also impacts our life choices. When we are grounded in our belief in God, we tend to make decisions that align with our spiritual values and principles. This can affect every area of our lives, from our relationships to our careers, and even how we handle stress or conflict. People of faith often prioritize compassion, forgiveness, and love in their interactions with others, as they are reminded that these virtues reflect the divine nature of God. In addition, faith encourages people to act with integrity, honesty, and a sense of duty, knowing that their actions have meaning in the context of their spiritual journey. Furthermore, faith helps individuals cope with feelings of uncertainty and fear. Life can often feel unpredictable, and moments of hardship can leave us questioning our purpose. However, faith provides a sense of security, as individuals believe that God has a plan for their lives, and that every experience, good or bad, is a part of that plan. This trust in God's providence empowers individuals to move forward with confidence, even when the future seems unclear. The Bible is filled with stories of individuals whose lives were radically transformed through their faith in God. These stories illustrate the power of God's intervention in human lives and serve as powerful examples of how faith can lead to personal transformation. Let's explore a few key biblical figures whose experiences demonstrate the profound impact of faith in times of adversity. 1. The story of Joseph in Genesis 37-50. Joseph's story is one of the most remarkable accounts of transformation in the Bible. Joseph was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and wrongfully imprisoned. However, throughout his trials, Joseph maintained his faith in God, trusting that there was a greater plan for his life. Despite the hardships he faced, Joseph eventually rose to a position of power in Egypt, second only to Pharaoh. In the end, he was able to forgive his brothers and save his family from famine. Joseph's story teaches us that faith in God can help us overcome the most difficult of circumstances, leading to transformation and restoration, not just for ourselves, but for others as well. 2. The story of Job. Job's story is another powerful example of faith and perseverance in the face of suffering. Job was a prosperous man, but he lost everything: his wealth, his health, and his family. Throughout his suffering, Job questioned God's justice but never lost his faith. Ultimately, God restored Job's fortunes, blessing him with even more than he had before. Job's story demonstrates that even in the midst of deep despair, faith can lead to healing, restoration, and a deeper understanding of God's sovereignty. Job's transformation came not only through the material restoration he experienced, but through the spiritual growth that came from his unwavering faith and eventual humility before God. 3. The story of Moses in Exodus 3-14. Moses' life was marked by a series of profound transformations. From his early life as an adopted son of Pharaoh to his role as the leader of the Israelites. When Moses was called by God to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, he faced immense resistance and doubts, both from Pharaoh and his own people. Yet, Moses trusted in God's plan and power, and through faith, he was able to lead the Israelites through the wilderness and toward the promised land. The miracles that occurred through Moses, such as the parting of the Red Sea, demonstrate how faith in God can lead to miraculous transformations in one's life and the lives of others. 4. The story of David. David's journey from shepherd to king is one of the most inspiring transformations in the Bible. As a young shepherd, David was chosen by God to be the future king of Israel, but his path to the throne was far from easy. He faced immense challenges, including being hunted by King Saul and fighting battles against larger armies. Through it all, David's faith in God guided him. He trusted that God would protect him and lead him to victory, and his faith was rewarded. David's story teaches us that faith can lead to extraordinary achievements, even when the odds are against us. It is through faith that we gain the courage and strength to overcome obstacles and fulfill the purpose God has set for us. Faith in God has a profound impact on how we perceive and respond to the difficulties in our lives. When we place our trust in God, we experience a shift in our perspective. which empowers us to overcome challenges and embrace transformation. One of the most significant impacts of faith is the sense of empowerment it provides. When we believe that God is with us, helping us navigate difficulties, we are more likely to take bold actions, face challenges with courage, and persevere through adversity. Faith instills in us the confidence that we are not alone in our struggles, and that God will guide us to the other side of hardship. This empowerment helps us maintain hope and resilience, knowing that even when things seem difficult, change is possible through God's intervention. Faith also enables us to perceive adversity differently. Rather than viewing pain or hardship as something to be avoided or feared, those with faith often see these experiences as opportunities for spiritual growth. Trials can bring us closer to God, help us develop patience, and teach us valuable lessons about ourselves and the world around us. Through faith, we learn to embrace change rather than resist it, knowing that each challenge can lead to greater personal growth and understanding. Furthermore, faith in God helps us understand that transformation is not always immediate or easy. Just as we saw in the stories of Joseph, Job, Moses, and David, transformation often takes time and requires perseverance. However, through faith, we are encouraged to trust that God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating events for our ultimate good. This trust helps us navigate life's ups and downs with a sense of peace, knowing that the difficulties we face are part of a larger plan for our lives. Life is full of uncertainties, and our circumstances can change at any given moment. These circumstances often define our experiences, shaping the way we view ourselves, our world, and our future. Whether in terms of career, relationships, or financial status, these aspects of life can sometimes feel like a reflection of our worth or happiness. However, for those who have faith in God, there is a deeper belief that no matter how difficult the circumstances may appear, God has the power to transform them for the better. This section will explore how circumstances in life, such as career, relationships, and finances, can be transformed through God's intervention, and how we can recognize the signs of transformation that indicate God is turning the tide in our favor. When we speak of life's circumstances, we are referring to the various conditions and situations that shape our everyday existence. These can be external circumstances, such as the state of our career, financial situation, or relationships, or internal conditions, like our emotional state, personal growth, and spiritual well-being. While we often focus on external circumstances as markers of success or happiness, it is important to recognize that all of these aspects are interconnected and influence each other. Career is one of the most prominent areas in life where circumstances can feel particularly challenging. Whether facing career stagnation, job loss, or dissatisfaction with one's professional path, it can be easy to feel stuck. These challenges may lead to self-doubt, anxiety about the future, or a sense of defeat. However, many individuals of faith believe that God has the power to change their professional circumstances, opening new doors of opportunity, guidance, and advancement. Relationships, too, are a significant area of life where circumstances can have a profound impact on our well-being. Whether it's the breakdown of a romantic relationship, strained family connections, or issues with friends or colleagues, relationship struggles can leave us feeling isolated and uncertain. The belief that God can intervene in these areas provides comfort and hope that even the most challenging relationship dynamics can be restored, healed, or transformed. Financial status is another aspect where circumstances can often feel limiting. Economic hardships, job loss, or the pressure of financial instability can cause stress and worry about the future. Yet, many who have faith believe that God can bring change even in the most difficult financial situations. Through divine intervention, new opportunities for financial stability can emerge, often in unexpected ways. Ultimately, circumstances are the conditions that define much of our day-to-day life. However, they do not define us. God, through His wisdom and guidance, has the power to shape and transform these circumstances in ways we may not be able to foresee. For many people of faith, the belief that God can turn the tide in life's circumstances is rooted in the idea of divine intervention. It is the belief that God, in His love and grace, can shift the direction of one's life, even in the face of adversity. But how exactly does God bring change to these areas of life? In career, when it comes to career, God can bring change in several ways. First, He might open new doors of opportunity that we would never have imagined. A person may find a new job offer or career opportunity at a time when they least expect it, or perhaps they will be guided to pursue a completely new direction in life that is in alignment with their true calling or purpose. Often, God's intervention in our careers comes when we have grown stagnant or complacent, nudging us toward greater fulfillment and success. For example, a person facing unemployment might receive an unexpected job offer or be guided to start a new business venture, both of which lead to greater professional success and personal satisfaction. Secondly, God's timing plays a critical role. Sometimes, the timing of change in our careers may not align with our expectations, but with faith, we trust that God's timing is perfect. He knows when we are ready to handle greater responsibilities, or when it's time for us to let go of one job or role and step into a new one. Trusting in God's plan for our professional life can give us peace even when we are uncertain about our next steps. In relationships, God's influence in our relationships can be equally transformative. For those facing struggles in romantic relationships, family dynamics, or friendships, God's intervention can help heal broken bonds and guide individuals toward reconciliation and understanding. Through prayer, faith, and a commitment to love and forgiveness, relationships can be mended even after years of discord or hurt. When we trust that God can change the hearts of those we are in conflict with, it opens up possibilities for healing and transformation. In situations where a relationship may not be salvageable, God's influence might encourage us to move forward, either by helping us find closure or leading us toward new connections. Faith can provide clarity in knowing when to fight for a relationship and when to step away. And in both cases, we trust that God's guidance will lead us toward healthier and more fulfilling relationships. In financial status, one of the most common ways people see God's intervention is in times of financial hardship. When facing financial instability or difficulty, many believe that God provides opportunities, ideas, or solutions that lead to improvement. This might come through unexpected financial blessings, such as a generous gift, a bonus at work, or an inheritance. Alternatively, it could come in the form of new business ventures or job offers that provide stability and security. God's guidance can also help individuals practice better stewardship of their finances. By encouraging discipline, budgeting, and prioritization, individuals of faith believe that God can lead them to make decisions that improve their financial well-being. When we are faithful stewards of the resources God has given us, He often rewards that faithfulness with greater blessings. Recognizing the signs of transformation in our lives is an essential part of understanding how God is turning the tide in our favor. These signs might not always be immediately obvious, but they become apparent when we look back and see the subtle ways in which God has changed our circumstances. Unexpected opportunities. One of the most common signs that God is transforming our circumstances is the appearance of unexpected opportunities. These might come in the form of a new job offer, a career breakthrough, or a chance to work with someone who can help us achieve our goals. Often, these opportunities come when we least expect them, and they serve as proof that God is at work, shifting the direction of our lives in ways that we cannot control. The key is recognizing these opportunities and having the faith to step forward, trusting that they are part of God's plan for our lives. New relationships. Another sign of transformation is the formation of new relationships. Sometimes, when our life circumstances change, God brings new people into our lives who offer support, encouragement, and guidance. These new relationships can provide a fresh perspective, emotional healing, and practical assistance. Whether through mentors, friends, or romantic partners, the relationships that God brings into our lives can be transformative, leading us to new paths and new possibilities. Success after struggles. Lastly, success after periods of struggle is one of the most powerful signs of transformation. When we experience difficulty in life, whether it be in our career, finances, or relationships, it can feel as though success is out of reach. However, when we look back after the storm has passed, we often see that those struggles were necessary for our growth. Success, when it finally comes, is often sweeter because it was hard-earned. The transformation comes not just in achieving success, but in the lessons learned, the strength gained, and the faith deepened through the process. When we face challenging circumstances, it can often feel like we are stuck in a cycle of struggle with no end in sight. During these times, it is easy to lose hope or become overwhelmed by the weight of our difficulties. However, for those who place their trust in God, there are often subtle signs that reveal how He is working behind the scenes to turn the tide in our favor. These signs may not always be dramatic or obvious, but they provide reassurance that God is at work, guiding us toward a brighter future. In this section, we will explore 3 key signs that indicate God is turning the tide in our lives. Small signs, the peace of mind that accompanies transformation, and new opportunities and directions that arise unexpectedly. One of the most common signs that God is turning the tide in our favor is the small signs of support we begin to experience in our daily lives. These signs may seem insignificant at first, but when we look closer, they reveal God's presence and guidance in ways we might not have expected. These can include moments of encouragement from friends or family, a feeling of comfort during a difficult time, or even small acts of kindness from strangers that lift our spirits. For example, if someone has been struggling with emotional pain or loss, they may begin to notice that certain people suddenly reach out with comforting words or gestures. These acts, though seemingly random, can feel like direct messages from God, reminding us that we are not alone. In these small moments, we feel supported and loved, and they serve as reminders that God is walking with us through our challenges. Another small sign could be a positive shift in daily life. This might involve subtle changes in our routine or the way we approach problems. For instance, someone who has been feeling overwhelmed by a particular issue may suddenly find themselves handling it with more grace and patience, as though they have been given the strength to manage the situation better. Or, perhaps someone who has been struggling with work or relationships may begin to notice slight improvements, small wins, or signs of progress that indicate God is shifting things in their favor. These small, everyday changes are often the first indications that God is working behind the scenes, bringing transformation into our lives. While these signs may not seem life-changing on their own, they are often the beginning of a larger shift. When we pay attention to these small moments of support and positive change, we can begin to recognize the hand of God guiding us towards something greater. These signs serve as a reminder to stay faithful, trust the process, and remain open to the possibilities that God is preparing for us. Another powerful sign that God is turning the tide in our favor is the peace of mind that gradually fills our hearts and souls. During times of crisis or difficulty, it is common to experience anxiety, fear, and a sense of uncertainty about the future. These emotions can cloud our judgment and make it hard to see a way forward. However, when God begins to turn the tide, we often experience a shift in our emotional state, characterized by a deep sense of peace and hope. This peace is not the absence of challenges or problems, but rather an internal calm that comes from knowing that God is in control. It is the reassurance that even in the midst of chaos, God's presence is with us, providing the comfort and strength we need to persevere. As the transformation begins, we may find ourselves feeling more at ease, even when circumstances remain difficult. We may no longer feel overwhelmed by worry or doubt, but instead, we develop a sense of trust and hope that God is working in ways we may not fully understand. For example, Someone who has been struggling with financial difficulties might suddenly feel a sense of peace despite their circumstances. They may no longer be consumed by fear of what lies ahead and may begin to experience a renewed sense of hope for the future. This peace often manifests as a quiet confidence in God's ability to provide, knowing that He will guide us through the challenges and bring us to a place of stability and prosperity. This sense of peace is not temporary. It can become a lasting feeling that accompanies us throughout the transformation process. As we experience God's intervention in our lives, the peace that fills our hearts becomes a constant reminder that God is turning the tide in our favor. It allows us to face each day with renewed strength and courage, knowing that God is always by our side. One of the most significant signs that God is turning the tide in our favor is the arrival of new opportunities and directions that we never expected. Often, when we are going through a difficult time, it can feel as though our options are limited and the future seems uncertain. However, when God begins to turn the tide, He opens doors to new opportunities that we may have never considered or thought possible. These opportunities might come in many forms, whether it's a job offer, a new business venture, a chance to reconnect with old friends, or even the beginning of a new chapter in our personal or spiritual lives. For example, someone who has been struggling with unemployment might suddenly receive a job offer that is perfectly aligned with their skills and passions. A person who has been facing personal hardships may find themselves meeting new people who offer support, encouragement, or even a new romantic connection. These unexpected opportunities are often God's way of guiding us to the next phase of our journey, helping us rise above our current struggles. New directions in life can also manifest in a shift in our goals or dreams. For instance, someone who has been feeling stuck in their career may discover a new path that excites them and aligns with their deeper purpose. This might involve pursuing further education, starting a new business, or even relocating to a new city or country for a fresh start. These changes, although sometimes daunting, are often signs that God is moving us toward a new and more fulfilling direction. At times, the opportunities that arise may not seem to align with what we expected or planned. However, this is where faith becomes crucial. By trusting in God's plan and timing, we can embrace these new opportunities, knowing that they are part of a larger transformation that is taking place in our lives. Sometimes, the very crises we face, whether in our careers, relationships, or finances, are the catalyst for these unexpected opportunities. God may use our struggles to prepare us for something greater, guiding us to new directions that lead to personal fulfillment and success. It's important to remember that transformation doesn't always come quickly or in dramatic ways. The signs that God is turning the tide may be small at first, but as we remain patient and open to His guidance, we begin to see the larger picture. Small signs of support, a sense of peace, and new opportunities are all indicators that God is at work, changing the course of our lives for the better. When we remain faithful and receptive, we can trust that God's plan for us is unfolding in ways that will ultimately lead us to a place of growth, success, and fulfillment. Life often brings us to crossroads where we feel lost, uncertain, or overwhelmed by challenges. During these times, the most powerful tools for navigating our struggles and finding strength are prayer and faith. Prayer not only serves as a way of communicating with God, but also acts as a source of comfort, support, and guidance, helping us to stay grounded and focused on God's will. Along with prayer, faith plays a crucial role in transformation, providing the strength to overcome difficulties and trust in God's divine plan. In this section, we will explore the significance of prayer in our journey through hardship, how we can experience God's presence during times of difficulty, and the importance of maintaining faith in the process of transformation. Prayer is one of the most powerful practices available to us as people of faith. It is not just a ritual or a set of words recited at specific times. Prayer is a direct communication with God. Through prayer, we open our hearts and minds to God, share our thoughts and struggles, and seek His guidance and wisdom. In times of difficulty, prayer becomes an essential lifeline. It is through prayer that we can find comfort and a sense of peace, knowing that we are not facing our challenges alone. The act of praying helps us release our burdens, allowing us to trust God with our worries, anxieties, and fears. When we feel like we are carrying the weight of the world, prayer offers us the opportunity to hand those burdens over to God, who is more than capable of carrying them for us. Furthermore, prayer provides support in moments of weakness. When facing overwhelming challenges, prayer allows us to call upon God for strength. It serves as a reminder that we do not need to rely solely on our own limited abilities, but can depend on the infinite strength of God to carry us through. Just as we seek support from loved ones in difficult times, prayer offers us an intimate connection with the divine, a source of unconditional love and care. Additionally, prayer is a tool for guidance. Life can often seem unclear or filled with confusion, especially when we face tough decisions. Through prayer, we ask God to provide clarity, direction, and wisdom. Prayer allows us to seek God's will for our lives, ensuring that we are not acting out of impulse or fear, but are instead making decisions aligned with His divine purpose. As we pray, we also invite God to reveal His plan for us, and through time, we begin to see how He is orchestrating the events in our lives to guide us toward transformation and growth. Through prayer, God speaks to us not always in loud, dramatic ways, but through quiet whispers of comfort, peace, and clarity. The role of prayer in our lives cannot be overstated, as it is through prayer that we connect deeply with God, receive His support, and open ourselves to the transformation He is orchestrating in our lives. One of the most profound aspects of prayer is the experience of God's presence. When we pray, we invite God into our lives, allowing Him to work in our hearts and minds. In moments of difficulty, God's presence can become a powerful motivator and a source of immense comfort. When we are struggling with challenges, it can feel as though God is distant or silent. However, many people of faith testify that in their moments of deepest despair, they have felt God's comforting presence in powerful ways. Sometimes, God's support comes in the form of inner peace, a calm that transcends understanding, which reassures us that we are not alone. Other times, God's guidance may come through a still, small voice that directs us toward a solution or action. These moments of connection, though they may not always come as answers to our prayers, bring us a sense of clarity, purpose, and hope. God's presence can also be felt in the people around us. God often works through others, whether it's a friend, family member, or even a stranger who offers encouragement, support, or wise counsel during difficult times. These interactions are not coincidences. They are often divine interventions, signs that God is using others to comfort us and guide us. In this way, God's presence is not only spiritual but also tangible, experienced through the love and kindness of those He places in our lives. Moreover, God's support during difficult times is often felt in the strength He provides to endure and persevere. Many people have experienced a deep inner transformation during hardships, feeling a sense of resilience and endurance that they did not possess before. This strength is not of their own making but comes from God, who provides the grace to keep going even when the road ahead seems insurmountable. Experiencing God's presence in these ways is transformative. It strengthens our faith, gives us the courage to continue, and reminds us that we are not facing our struggles alone. It is through these moments that we realize God is constantly at work in our lives, even when we cannot see it, and His support is always available to us through prayer and faith. Faith plays a crucial role in overcoming challenges and achieving transformation. It is not enough to simply pray for help. We must also believe that God will provide the support we need and that He is working behind the scenes for our good. Faith is the key that unlocks the power of God's transformation in our lives. Without faith, we may not fully recognize or receive the guidance and support that God is offering. Faith in God's help helps us overcome the obstacles that seem insurmountable. It allows us to move forward in the face of uncertainty, knowing that God is with us and that He has a plan for us. When we have faith, we are empowered to take the next steps, even when we do not have all the answers. Faith allows us to trust in God's timing, understanding that He is working in our lives even when things don't happen according to our timeline. This trust is vital for enduring trials, as it gives us the strength to keep going, even when the outcome is unclear. Faith also opens our hearts to receive God's guidance. When we trust in God's will, we are more open to the changes He wants to bring into our lives. We stop resisting transformation and start cooperating with God's plan. This openness allows us to see the opportunities that arise during times of crisis, knowing that God is using these moments for our growth and development. Faith enables us to embrace transformation, not as something to fear, but as a process of becoming more aligned with God's purpose for our lives. In addition to transforming our mindset, faith also transforms our actions. It empowers us to make bold choices, pursue new opportunities, and take risks that we may have once feared. Faith in God's help strengthens our resolve and deepens our courage, helping us navigate the unknown with confidence. This kind of faith-driven action is essential for personal growth, as it enables us to overcome self-doubt and take meaningful steps toward the life God has planned for us. Moreover, faith enables us to see God's hand in every situation, recognizing that even the difficulties we face are part of a larger plan for transformation. With faith, we can trust that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. Every trial is a step toward greater wisdom, and every setback is a moment for spiritual strengthening. This perspective shifts our entire approach to life's challenges, allowing us to face them with confidence, hope, and peace, knowing that God is always with us. Life is filled with ups and downs, and the challenges we face can have a profound impact on our thoughts and emotions. However, when we place our faith in God's transformative power, we begin to experience a shift in the way we think and feel. This transformation is not just about external circumstances changing, but also about a profound change in our mindset and emotional state. In this section, we will explore how positive thinking, emotional change, and finding purpose in hardship are all key aspects of the transformation that God brings into our lives. One of the most noticeable changes that occur when we experience God's transformation is a shift in our thinking. When we place our trust in God and rely on His guidance, our mindset begins to change from one of fear, worry, and negativity to one of optimism, hope, and opportunity. In times of difficulty, it is easy to become consumed by problems, focusing on what is going wrong rather than on what is possible. However, with God's transformative power at work in our lives, we begin to see the challenges before us as opportunities for growth and learning, rather than as insurmountable obstacles. Positive thinking is not about ignoring reality or pretending that everything is perfect. It's about choosing to focus on the good and recognizing the potential for change in every situation. When we feel God's presence and guidance, our thoughts begin to shift from a focus on problems to a focus on solutions. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by challenges, we begin to see them as stepping stones that lead us closer to the life God has planned for us. For example, a person struggling with a difficult job might initially feel trapped or discouraged. However, as they deepen their faith, they might begin to see their current situation as an opportunity to learn new skills or build resilience. Rather than viewing their job as a burden, they begin to see it as a temporary phase that is leading them to something greater. With God's transformation, the same circumstances can look different, not as a dead end but as part of a larger plan for personal growth and success. This shift towards positive thinking changes the way we approach everyday life. We begin to trust that God is with us, and that He will bring good out of even the most difficult situations. This mindset opens us up to new opportunities, relationships, and experiences that we might have missed if we remain focused on the negative aspects of life. By embracing a positive perspective, we invite God's transformative power into every area of our lives, allowing us to navigate challenges with confidence and faith. Along with a shift in our thinking, experiencing God's transformative power also brings about significant changes in our emotional state. Emotions play a crucial role in how we experience and respond to life's challenges. When we face difficult situations, emotions such as fear, anxiety, helplessness, and frustration can overwhelm us. These emotions can cloud our judgment and prevent us from seeing the potential for positive change. However, as we open our hearts to God and trust in His plan for us, our emotional state begins to change. The first major transformation in our emotions is a shift from helplessness to hope. When we feel overwhelmed by life's difficulties, it is easy to feel as though there is no way out and that we are powerless to change our situation. However, with faith, we realize that we are never truly helpless. God's transformative power offers us a sense of hope that transcends our circumstances. This hope is not based on the temporary nature of our problems, but on the eternal truth that God is in control. When we begin to trust that God has a plan for our lives and that He will provide for us, we are filled with a renewed sense of purpose and possibility. For example, a person going through a difficult period of financial struggle may feel anxious and uncertain about the future. However, as they deepen their faith, they begin to shift their emotional focus from fear of scarcity to hope for abundance. They trust that God will provide for their needs, whether through new opportunities, guidance, or provision. This hope allows them to face their challenges with courage, knowing that they are not alone and that God is working on their behalf. Another emotional transformation that occurs is a shift from anxiety to peace. Anxiety often arises when we feel out of control, unsure about the future, or overwhelmed by uncertainty. The constant worry and fear can take a toll on our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. However, when we place our trust in God and experience His presence in our lives, we are filled with peace that surpasses understanding. This peace comes from knowing that God is in control and that we can rest in His promises, even in the midst of uncertainty. A person facing a health crisis or a family emergency might feel anxious and fearful, unsure of what will happen next. But through prayer, faith, and reliance on God, they begin to experience peace, even amidst the storm. This peace does not mean that the problems have disappeared, but it reflects the inner calm and assurance that comes from knowing God's presence is with them. With God's transformation, our emotions are no longer dictated solely by external circumstances, but are rooted in the deep sense of peace that comes from trusting in God's provision and timing. One of the most profound aspects of God's transformation in our thoughts and emotions is the ability to find purpose in hardship. Life's challenges, while difficult, are often opportunities for growth and transformation. When we have faith in God's transformative power, we begin to see that even in the midst of pain, loss, or difficulty, there is a deeper purpose at work. God does not waste our suffering. While we may not always understand why we face certain hardships, faith teaches us to trust that God has a purpose in everything. Through faith, we learn to see that our challenges are not random or meaningless. Instead, they are part of God's divine plan for our lives. The hardship we face may be shaping our character, teaching us valuable lessons, or preparing us for the next phase of our journey. For example, a person who has faced the pain of losing a loved one may initially struggle with deep grief and confusion. However, as they lean into their faith, they begin to see that their loss is not the end of their story. Through their pain, they may find a renewed sense of compassion for others who are grieving, or they may become an advocate for those in similar situations. They begin to see how their suffering is contributing to their growth, and how they can use their experience to help others. In this way, hardship becomes a catalyst for purposeful transformation, leading them to a deeper understanding of life, love, and faith. Similarly, someone who is struggling in their career may begin to see their current difficulties as a means of preparation. Their struggles may help them develop new skills, refine their character, or understand what truly matters in their professional life. As they trust in God's plan and remain faithful, they begin to see that their career challenges are not setbacks, but opportunities for growth and change that will ultimately lead them to greater fulfillment and success. When we have faith in God's transformative power, we are no longer defined by our hardships. Instead, we begin to see them as opportunities to grow, to learn, and to become more aligned with God's purpose for our lives. Even in the most challenging times, we can trust that God is using our struggles to shape us into the people we are meant to become. True transformation is not limited to external changes. It extends to the inner parts of us, the heart, mind, and spirit. Our connection with God, built through faith, becomes the foundation for this profound inner transformation. As we draw closer to God, we begin to experience changes, not only in our circumstances, but also in how we view the world, how we interact with others, and how we understand our purpose. In this section, we will explore the profound effects of connecting with God through faith, the spiritual healing and emotional growth that come from that connection, and how we can maintain that connection throughout our transformation process. The connection we cultivate with God through faith is not just about asking for things, but about developing a relationship that deepens and strengthens us from within. Faith is the means through which we connect with God, and as this connection grows, it leads to a transformation in how we experience life. While external circumstances such as our job, relationships, and finances can often feel like the focus of our prayers and concerns, true transformation begins internally, in the heart. As we grow closer to God, our spiritual perception changes. What once may have seemed like an overwhelming or unsolvable problem can shift in our perspective. With faith, we begin to see that every situation, no matter how difficult, has purpose and meaning in God's plan for us. The more we connect with God through prayer, scripture, and worship, the more we begin to feel His peace, wisdom, and strength infusing our hearts. This deep connection allows us to experience life in a new way, grounded in the knowledge that we are loved, seen, and supported by our Creator. Our faith becomes a wellspring of inner strength. Instead of relying solely on our own abilities or trying to control everything around us, we start to trust God more fully. This trust leads to surrender, where we release our anxieties and fears, believing that God has a plan for our lives and that He will guide us through whatever we face. This internal transformation, driven by our connection to God, helps us approach life with greater peace, hope, and confidence, knowing that we are not walking alone. As we draw closer to God, we also begin to reflect more of His character. We start to notice the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, manifesting more clearly in our lives. These fruits are evidence of the inner transformation that takes place when we are deeply connected to God through faith. One of the most beautiful aspects of connecting with God is the spiritual healing that takes place in our hearts and souls. Life often leaves us scarred, whether through past trauma, loss, regret, or unhealed wounds. But when we draw near to God in faith, He offers us the healing balm that soothes our pain and brings us renewal. This healing process is gradual, as God works in our hearts, transforming our brokenness into wholeness. Through God's love and grace, we begin to experience spiritual healing that restores our sense of identity, purpose, and self-worth. We realize that we are not defined by our past mistakes, failures, or hurts, but are made new in Christ. This healing restores hope and peace to our lives, replacing feelings of shame or guilt with a profound sense of forgiveness and freedom. Along with spiritual healing, this connection with God also brings emotional growth. We start to see changes in how we respond to life's challenges. Instead of reacting out of anger, fear, or frustration, we are more likely to respond with patience, grace, and understanding. God's presence in our lives helps us manage our emotions more effectively, teaching us to process our feelings in a healthy and productive way. We may find ourselves becoming more compassionate, understanding, and able to offer emotional support to others who are struggling, recognizing that we too have been transformed by God's love. Additionally, through this connection with God, we develop resilience. Life will inevitably bring challenges, but when we are connected to God, we find the inner strength to persevere. We learn to bounce back from setbacks, knowing that God's presence is always with us. This resilience is not a product of our own strength, but a result of the strength God provides. As we lean on Him, we discover that we are capable of facing life's challenges with courage and grace. The more we experience God's transformative work in our lives, the stronger and more resilient we become, both in spirit and in character. While the initial connection with God can lead to powerful transformation, it is essential to maintain and nurture that connection throughout our lives. The process of transformation is ongoing, and staying connected to God is key to continuing that journey. Prayer, involvement in a religious community, and a strong, unwavering faith are essential in maintaining this connection and allowing God to continue His work in our lives. Prayer is the most direct way to maintain our connection with God. It is in prayer that we express our thoughts, feelings, and desires, but also listen for God's guidance. Daily prayer helps us stay attuned to God's voice, and it is through prayer that we renew our commitment to Him. Even in the midst of busyness or difficulty, prayer provides a way to center ourselves, refocus on God's presence, and invite Him into our daily lives. The more we pray, the stronger our relationship with God becomes, allowing us to experience His peace and wisdom more fully. In addition to personal prayer, being part of a religious community is another vital way to maintain our connection with God. The church, fellowship groups, or spiritual gatherings offer a sense of belonging and support. They remind us that we are part of a larger community of believers who share our faith and walk alongside us in our spiritual journey. Through communal worship, Bible study, and shared prayer, we receive encouragement, accountability, and strength. We also learn from others' experiences of God's transformative work in their lives, which serves as a reminder that God is actively working in the world and in our own lives. Holding on to faith is perhaps the most important action in maintaining our connection with God. There will be times when doubt creeps in, when challenges seem too great, or when the road ahead feels unclear. During these times, it is essential to hold on to our faith, trusting that God's plan is unfolding even when we cannot see it. It is through faith that we continue to believe in God's promises, even in the face of adversity. As we hold on to our faith, we are reminded that God's love is unshakable, and His work in our lives is ongoing. Holding on to faith means persevering through the tough times, trusting that God is always faithful and that He will complete the work He has started in us. Change is a natural and inevitable part of life, yet it often comes with resistance, fear, or uncertainty. Whether we are experiencing personal struggles, professional challenges, or relational difficulties, transformation requires us to embrace the changes that God is bringing into our lives. While God's transformative work in our lives is powerful and profound, our willingness to accept and participate in that transformation is just as essential. In this section, we will explore 3 key actions that are vital for embracing change: opening up to change, trusting in God's action, and taking positive action. One of the first steps in experiencing transformation is opening up to change. Transformation does not happen by staying stuck in old patterns, habits, or mindsets. In order for God to turn the tide in our favor, we must be willing to let go of what is no longer serving us and open ourselves to the new opportunities, perspectives, and growth that God is bringing our way. This requires a willingness to change, a willingness to move beyond our comfort zones and embrace the unknown, trusting that God has something better in store for us. Opening up to change involves surrendering control. Many of us are naturally inclined to want to control every aspect of our lives, particularly when it comes to our plans, careers, relationships, and personal goals. However, true transformation requires us to trust that God has a better plan for us than we could ever envision. When we open our hearts and minds to God's guidance, we allow Him to take the lead in our lives, knowing that His wisdom surpasses our own understanding. For example, someone who has spent years in a job they no longer find fulfilling may feel a sense of discontentment but resist leaving because of fear of the unknown. However, embracing change means having the courage to trust that God may be leading them to a new opportunity that will bring greater fulfillment and growth. By opening up to change, we align ourselves with God's purpose, and we give Him the freedom to lead us in ways that will bless us and others. Opening up to change also requires us to release fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, and fear of losing control can paralyze us and prevent us from stepping into the transformation God has planned. But when we trust in God's love and power, we can overcome these fears. As we open ourselves to God's work in our lives, we step out in faith, trusting that He will provide for us every step of the way. Once we open ourselves to change, the next vital step is trusting in God's action. Transformation happens when we trust that God is not only working in our lives, but that He is actively guiding us through both our thoughts and our actions. Trusting in God's action means believing that He is always working behind the scenes, even when we cannot see it or understand it. God's guidance comes in many forms through scripture, prayer, the counsel of others, and sometimes through moments of inner peace or conviction. Trusting in God means relying on Him to guide us in our thoughts and decisions. It requires surrendering the need for control and allowing God to direct our steps according to His divine plan. For instance, a person who is uncertain about their future might trust in God's guidance by spending time in prayer and reflection, seeking His will. Rather than rushing to make a decision out of fear or impatience, they wait for clarity and peace that comes from God's direction. Trusting in God's action means having the confidence that, even if the path is unclear at first, God will reveal the way forward in His time. Trusting in God also means trusting in His timing. Change doesn't always happen on our schedule, and God's plans often unfold in ways that are different from what we expect. However, we can trust that God's timing is always perfect. Whether the change we seek happens quickly or takes time, we trust that God is orchestrating every step in His perfect plan for our lives. For example, someone facing a difficult health issue may not see immediate improvement, but continues to trust in God's plan. In their patience, they may find that God is teaching them deeper lessons about faith, endurance, and the importance of self-care. Through their trust, they will be able to embrace the transformation that God is bringing in their life, even when it takes time. While trusting in God's action is essential, it is also important to take positive action ourselves. Transformation doesn't just happen passively, it requires participation on our part. When we believe that God is guiding us, we must also take proactive steps in faith, following through with decisions, actions, and efforts that align with God's will for us. Taking positive action means moving forward with confidence, even when we don't have all the answers. It is trusting that God has equipped us with the necessary resources, skills, and strength to take the next step, even when the future is unclear. Taking action demonstrates our faith in God and our willingness to cooperate with His plan. For instance, someone who feels called to a new career path might take positive action by researching opportunities, updating their resume, or even taking courses to gain new skills. These proactive steps show that they are trusting in God's guidance and are willing to step out in faith. Taking action is not about forcing results or controlling outcomes, but about demonstrating our obedience and willingness to follow the path God is leading us on. In relationships, taking positive action might mean forgiving someone, reaching out to reconcile, or offering support in times of need. These actions reflect a heart that is willing to actively embrace change, guided by the love and grace of God. Even in difficult or uncertain times, taking positive action demonstrates that we are not waiting passively for change, but are actively participating in the process. We step forward in faith, knowing that as we take action, God is with us every step of the way, and He will continue to guide us toward the transformation He has promised. When we take positive action, we also begin to see God's help become more evident. As we move forward, God often opens new doors, creates opportunities, and provides us with unexpected solutions. We witness the fruit of our labor and begin to realize that our efforts, combined with God's help, are bringing about the change we have been praying for. Life is filled with challenges, struggles, and hardships. Everyone, at some point, faces difficult times that can seem overwhelming. However, the turning of the tide brought by God is not random. It is not by chance that transformation occurs. The challenges we face are an integral part of a larger journey, a journey of growth and faith exploration. God works in mysterious ways, and the adversity we experience often leads to opportunities for transformation that we could never have anticipated. The key to understanding this transformation lies in recognizing that every trial has a purpose in God's divine plan. Through His guidance, He turns the tide in our favor, helping us grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The journey of transformation is one that moves us from facing pain to understanding its deeper purpose. Often, it is only after we have weathered the storm that we realize the lessons, wisdom, and growth that have come from the experience. When we face difficult situations, it can be hard to see how they fit into a larger plan. However, through faith and reflection, we begin to understand that God's guidance is always at work in our lives, and the transformation we experience is a direct result of His love, care, and divine intervention. Understanding the purpose behind our pain and struggles allows us to grow spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. We realize that God never wastes our suffering, and through it, He refines us for something greater. Always remember that every pain has a reason. The pain you experience, though difficult and sometimes unbearable, is never in vain. It has a purpose that may not be immediately clear, but is essential for your growth and development. When we look at our pain the right way through the lens of faith and trust in God's plan, we begin to see that it is helping us become better and stronger individuals. Pain can be a catalyst for transformation, teaching us resilience, patience, and empathy. It is through the process of facing our struggles with faith that we emerge stronger, more aligned with God's purpose, and more compassionate toward others. If you found this video insightful and meaningful, please like and share it with others who might benefit from hearing these words. Our struggles are not isolated. By sharing the message of faith, transformation, and God's guidance, we can uplift others who are going through their own challenges. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content about transformation, faith, and God's guidance in our lives. Together, we can grow stronger in our faith, embrace the journey of transformation, and encourage one another as we walk through life's challenges with hope and trust in God.